Good evening. It's Tuesday, December 20th. Time for our news. I'm Konstantinos Tsintas. Turkish police detained 6 people over the killing of the Russian ambassador in Ankara, widening a probe to relatives of the off-duty policeman who shouted "Don't forget Aleppo" as he gunned the envoy down. Both countries cast yesterday's attack, which occurred at an art gallery in the capital Ankara, as an attempt to undermine a recent thawing of ties that have been strained by Syria's civil war, where they back opposing sides. The war, which has killed more than 300,000 people and created a power vacuum exploited by Islamic State, reached a potential turning point last week when Syrian forces ended a rebel resistance in the northern city of Aleppo. Russia, an ally of President Bashar al-Assad, supported that advance with airstrikes. Turkey identified the killer as 22-year-old Mevlut Mert Altindas, who had worked for the Ankara riot police for 2.5 years. Altindas, who also shouted slogans associated with Islamist militancy after shooting Ambassador Andrei Karlov, was killed minutes later by members of Turkey's special forces. His mother, father, sister and 2 other relatives were held in the western province of Aydin, where his flatmate in Ankara was also detained. One senior Turkish security official said investigators were focusing on whether Altintas had links to the US-based Muslim cleric Fethullah Gülen, who Ankara blames for the failed July coup. Gülen has denied responsibility and has condemned both events. The slogans that Altindas shouted, which were captured on video and circulated widely on social media, suggested he was aligned to a radical Islamist ideology rather than that of Gülen, who preaches a message of interfaith dialogue. CNN Turk said medical records on the treatment of the ambassador showed 11 shots were fired and 9 were on target. Both the Berlin police chief and the state prosecutor in Germany said it was unclear if the Pakistani man arrested after a deadly truck rampage at a Christmas market was the driver of the vehicle. As far as he knew, the police chief noted, it was uncertain whether that was really the driver. Berlin police said on Twitter that they were being vigilant as the suspect had denied involvement in the incident, which police have said was a deliberate attack. He further urged the public to be on alert. The truck smashed into wooden huts serving mulled wine and sausages at the foot of the Kaiser Wilhelm Memorial Church, one of West Berlin's most famous landmarks. 12 people were killed and 48 injured, many seriously. Interior Minister Thomas de Maizière said the arrested man was probably from Pakistan and was in the process of applying for asylum. A security source said he was 23 years old, was known to police for committing minor offences, and had been staying at a refugee centre in the now defunct Tempelhof airport. Chancellor Angela Merkel said there was still much they did not know with sufficient certainty, but must assume it was a terrorist attack. The attack fueled immediate demands for a change to Merkel's immigration policies, under which more than 1 million people fleeing conflict and poverty in the Middle East, Africa and elsewhere have arrived in Germany in the past 2 years. The record influx has hit Merkel's ratings as she prepares to run for a 4th term next year. Newspaper Die Welt said the man behind the wheel had jumped out of the driver's cab and run down the street towards the Tiergarten, a vast park in central Berlin. The incident evoked memories of an attack in Nice, France in July, when a Tunisian-born man drove a 19-ton truck along the beachfront, mowing down people who had gathered to watch the fireworks on Bastille Day, killing 86 people. The attack was claimed by Islamic State. A gunman who shot 3 worshippers in a Zurich mosque last night was a 24-year-old Swiss man with Ghanaian roots and no apparent links to Islamist radicalism. The suspect, whom they did not identify by name, is thought to have killed another man in Zurich on Sunday. He seems to have taken his own life shortly after the mosque shooting, whose motivation remains a mystery. He is Swiss, and we don't know anything about the motives at the head of criminal investigations for the Zurich Cantonal Police. The gunman from the nearby town of Uster had stormed into the Islamic center near the main train station in Switzerland's financial capital and opened fire on people praying, wounding 3 men whose condition was said to be improving today. His body was found soon afterwards, around 300 meters away. He appears to have shot himself. The victim is 47-year-old Yannis Hachiyani, who was killed when a car driven by a 20-year-old rammed into his pickup truck as it was parked on the side of the road for repairs. The fire service freed Hachiyani from the wreckage between the 2 cars in critical condition, and he was rushed to the Nicosia General. He succumbed to his injuries sometime later. The driver, who was treated for light injuries, was arrested in connection with the incident. The victim was married with 3 children. President Anastasiadis has clearly set his negotiating boundaries, which must respond to the concerns and expectations of the Greek Cypriot community, said Deputy Government spokesman Viktoras Papadopoulos. In response to remarks by the Turkish Cypriot leader, the spokesman said that in this crucial, delicate phase of the dialogue, any positions expressed publicly by the Turkish Cypriot side as solution conditions find the Greek Cypriot side in disagreement, as they do not facilitate the ongoing process, nor the solution being sought, which must be approved by the people. Any solution, Nicosia noted, cannot lie outside the agreed framework, nor the values and principles of the EU, of which the Republic of Cyprus is a member, and will continue to be following a possible settlement. The government's message to the Turkish Cypriot side is to refrain from public remarks and focus on the need to minimize differences in order to create a real prospect of success at the Geneva conference next month. In earlier statements, Turkish Cypriot leader Mustafa Kingi insisted on the position that an agreement can be reached in order to keep the existing system of guarantees in Cyprus and ensure it protects the one side without becoming a threat for the other. In an interview with Al Jazeera, Akinci claimed that the system can remain and be re-evaluated in 15 years. Referring to the upcoming Geneva negotiations, he said that the 2 sides will work towards submitting maps on January 11th, disclosing that the Turkish Cypriot side's proposal will be controlling 29% of territory, with the Greek Cypriot side perhaps submitting a proposal for 28% territory. Akinci further reiterated that without the alternate presidency included in the agreement, there can be no referendum. That's it for our news. Now look at the weather. Overcast skies with local showers and isolated storms tomorrow, with the possibility of snowfalls over the mountains. Winds will be light to moderate southwesterly to northwesterly, force 3 to 4, turning strong force 5 in windward regions. Seas will be slight. Temperatures will rise to 12 degrees Celsius inland, 14 in coastal regions and 3 over the mountains, where frost will form. The depth of snow on Mount Olympus was 35 centimeters, with 25 in Troodos Square. That's it from us. More news tomorrow. Good evening, everyone.